Hello everybody and welcome back to Tony Northeastern. We're doing something a little bit different today. We're taking a break from the station build because, as you know, it's a long and tedious job, and I think I've said this before, it would be a long video, and not only that, it'll be like I'm repeating myself. So we got something a little bit different for you today. An ex-signalman from South Shields. We're going to be talking to him in just a second, and I'd just like to say a big welcome to John Cuddihy. Hello John, can you tell us something about yourself please?
Well, I'm John Cuddihy. I was a signalman at South Shields from 1962 till it closed in 1968. But prior to that, I was a signal lad in 1947 when I joined the LNAR at the Newcastle number 3, Newcastle number 2 and Newcastle number 1 power boxes. And from there, I was on the railway 40 years. I had 5 years in the army between me time, and I had 40 years altogether on the railway.
Right, it sounds like you've been quite busy in your lifetime.
Oh yeah, it was just an ordinary life on the railway. I enjoyed Newcastle Station when I worked in the power boxes, and I enjoyed the chat with the drivers and the old steam engines there was at that time. We used to call them Pacifics. We didn't know anything about the technology of the steam engine. One was a Pacific, and the other one was the old Pilot and whatnot. And we had the North Brit engines coming off the Riccarton line between Riccarton Junction and Newcastle. And there were the Wandering Willie was one, and there was Hall of the Wind, and Meg's Metherleys. They were the North British engines, and I mostly remember them sort of engines, you know.
Right, sounds fascinating. So could you tell us a little bit about your childhood and growing up in the Northeast? Did you always want to be working on the railways?
No, it was just accidentally with me, because my dad wanted to work in the shipyards, and I worked in the shipyards when I first left school in 1945, and a naval yard at Walker, and I was working as a rivet catcher, where you had to keep the rivet, and we had to throw the riggers to the riveter, you know. I got sick of that, and I didn't like it at all. So I decided I wanted to go to sea, and that didn't work. And I had a job on the ferry boats, a mid-time ferry, between Walker, Newcastle, and Hebburn on the steam, and I used to work as a rope lad on there. And then later on, I was out at work, and I seen an advert for signal lads or people to work on the railway, and I ended up actually as a cleaner at Gateshead Depot, the locomotive depot, for a while, and it was too awkward for me to get from my home over the bridge to Gateshead, you know, from Newcastle over the bridge. I had to walk over the bridge from Newcastle into Gateshead, you see, and eventually I ended up as a signal lad in Newcastle number 3.
So when you were working in the Gateshead sheds, you must have saw lots of traffic coming in and out of there.
Well, the engines were all scruffy, you see, and I wasn't there long because a cleaner there, there were. When I first went there, these lads was crawling inside the fireboxes to chip the clinker off the inside of the fireboxes, you know, to get through it. And one of them took his lamp in, and they shut the firebox door behind him. I says, well, I'm not going to do that. Used to lock them in, you see. So, and I was cleaning, you know, when you twisted the door, and you had to clean the smoke box out, you know, I was cleaning, they were shoveling the muck and dirt out of the smoke box. But I noticed that most of the engine ones sort of were run down at that time. They're very old and scruffy like. But I noticed there's a couple of brand new engines came to Gateshead in about 1948. and I heard there were peppercorns or something, and I didn't know at the time. But after that, I left the depot and I went over to the station and started in the signal box. Sometimes I regretted that because I might end up as a driver, but that never happened.
All right. So Gateshead was your first signal box.
Well, it was Newcastle number 3 was the first signal box, but there was a signal box at the Gateshead end called King Edward Bridge. And if you ever travel over the viaduct there towards from the west end of the station now, it's a King Edward viaduct, isn't it called? Over across there.
Yeah, is that the one next to the Metro Bridge now?
No, this is the west end. The west end.
Oh, the other, yes. No, about where the kids are watching the trains at the moment. I've got a photograph at the moment with the diamond crossing.
Well, that actually is the east end. That's Newcastle number 1.
All right.
And that was the east end, and I used to work there as well in that box as well. But the west end was Newcastle number 3, where the trains leave number 4 or whatever they call it now, to go over the bridge towards the south. You had the south lines and you had the east lines, you see. The east lines used to go around to the left and the south lines swing round to the right on the main line, you see. But there was a signal box in that cut right between the joint of the 2 lines, and it was called King Edward Bridge signal box.
Right, okay, all right. So the photograph that I've got up at the moment, I've got some train spotters on the castle looking down on the big diamond crossing. Is that a signal? It looks like a signal box there, right across the tracks.
It straddles across. Right. It's called Newcastle number 1. That was the one that controlled the diamond crossings, and used to work to the Newcastle number 2. The trains used to come in across there, and there's another box in the station called Newcastle number 2. That's to deal with the platforms and that, And then Newcastle number 3 was at the west end. And there's another one called 4th Junction towards further over towards the west, where the Carlisle traffic used to go, and Written Junction traffic. Right? Difficult to say, you'll not understand, but I remember all this from that time.
Yeah. So were the levers quite heavy to pull?
No, they were little tiny levers. There was power levers. It was all like air controlled. Was it pneumatic? All right,
pneumatics. Yeah.
And used to be there used to be a compressor. You could hear the compressor, and there was always a hissing noise around the station. You could hear and when the points turned, if you're in the signal box, there was the panel with small levers on. You see, tiny little levers, and you should pull for the signals. You pulled them straight across, and the signals used to come off. But the points, of course, you had to pull them into the centre, and then you could hear the points, or you watch the points turn, and then pull the lever fully over. But if you were actually walking across from the station, which is a deadly place to get from the station to the box, the trains was coming at you from all directions, and you could hear the points clashing like bang, And if you got your foot there or your fingers in there, it would take them off. They're terrible. Them pneumatic points, a quarter there, crash at you. You could hear them crashing,
So there's no footway to get to that signal box then? You had to cross the tracks. There's no overhead gantry or anything like that to walk along?
Oh, there's nothing there. At number 1, the 40 you're looking at now, at the east end, that was called the east end of the station. You could get at number 1 by walking along and just crossing the platforms. And you got in, if you look at it, you see there's platforms all the way along.
Yeah, I can see that.
And you could just pop over there. The only thing you had to watch there was the live rail.
Oh, right.
So you're jumping down and the live rail were there, but it was protected by wood slats come up the side.
Yes.
So if you did trip, you hit your foot on it, you wouldn't hit the rail. But there was parts of it that was bare, and then you had to step gently over that because it was a high rail, tramping over that. And if you wore a heavy coat, it was raining, and your wet coat on there, bang, you got an apple clatter, But it never happened to me, of course.
It's just fascinating. I just love this. I can visualize. Not only am I looking at the photograph, I'm actually visualizing you walking across there, dodging those tracks.
Well, what we're doing, I used to travel around. You used to be a boot lad, and there was in each box, except number 2, there's just a signalman there. But number 1 and 3, there was 3 signalmen, a telephone boy, and a boot lad. Well, sometimes I used to do the telephones instead of the boot, Mm-hmm. And then the telephone lad would do the messages as well. You had to take round messages and go for the stores. And there was big tunnels under the station, There was a big tunnel under the station where the stores were, and they're still there yet. It's fantastic under that station. Aye, they is. Mm. And they give us a uniform made in about 1920. We used to call it dirty bark tweed,
So where did you move on from Newcastle? Where did you go from there?
Well, I joined the army in 1950.
Right.
I joined an infantry regiment called the Royal Irish Fusiliers, and I was in there till 1955. And I came out of the army, and I thought of coming back on the railway again, because I was working for a fella called Marples Ridge, building that, that big dock at Shields, Brigham's Dock.
Right.
We're building that, and I was working with a gang of Irishmen there building the dock. And of course, in them days, there was no cement mixers coming around on wagons, You had to mix the cement in a huge machine. And this little Irishman used to make the mix, and I could throw it in. I was doing all the donkey work and mixing it, And then you just used to throw it into the pans, and used to be a big the shuttering on the side of it where they were building the dock, and throw the concrete down there. But that finished, you see, and I was out of work again, and I seen an advert for signalmen wanted, Well, I says, I had to go, I'll have a go at that. So I went to Newcastle and had to pass the block. And then after that, you had to try and find a job. And my first job was a place called Point Pleasant on the riverside. The riverside, ever heard of the Riverside line? I used to run from Newcastle to Percy-Main.
Oh, yes, Percy-Main, yeah.
And there was 1938 type EMUs on that line, you see.
Yeah. Right, John, I've got a picture up of one of the EMUs you were talking about. I'll just describe it to you. It's in Newcastle Central, and it's got, it looks like 2 sets of sliding doors per carriage. It's flat faced at the front.
That's right. Aye.
Can you tell me a bit more about them?
Well, it was just that there were, as far as I remember, they're just, as you say, there's 2 per carriage, and there were sliding doors, and of course you had to slide it naturally to get on. And once you were on, the doors on the locks on the doors used to wear, and as the train travelled along, we'd put his brakes on or put speed on, the door used to open, and you might have a full carriage. And you were frightened to shut the blink and try to shut the door in case you fell onto the track, They were terrible doors, some of them, and they weren't properly looked after, But the seats, were great seats, and they were lovely sets there, and the best sets of the lot. They're better than them later ones that used to run to Shields, all the single compartments.
So the first job was, whereabouts did you say your first job
I was a porter sig at Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant.
That was the only job I could get, you see, because when you were first starting, you were bottom of the list for jobs, and it was hard to get work. They wanted signalmen, but they wanted signalmen to go into the wilds, to live miles away. And if you tried to get a job in the towns or local, you couldn't get them, you see. The only good job I could get was Point Pleasant, and I kept that. And I got a temporary job at a place called Sea Banks at Seaham. There used to be like a lot of colliery traffic there, I don't know if you've heard of the coast line that runs between Sunderland, and Hartlepool. Used to be a branch off there called Sea Banks, and I used to work down there. And then after that, I did get another permanent job at Hart Station, which was on the end of the Wellfield line. It used to run from Sunderland and then the Ryop Grange Junction, and then the main coastline used to run alongside this line I was on. It used to call the Wellfield, and used to run past Ryop Station and go to the right over the bank through Merton and right down and Hazelden, Castle Eden, down through the Hart Station. It used to end at Cemetery Junction back onto the coastline again, you know. Well, that was Hart Station. There was the 2 sets of tracks to Hart Station. But I had to travel on my motorbike, and of course, again, it was bad to get there, and I got another temporary job again at a place called Newton Hall on the main line between Newcastle and on the main coast, and it was a junction, and it used to run under the junction used to come down under the Leamside line from the main line, you see, and the trains used to travel from South Shields right away through to Sunderland and up there through to Durham and on to Wellington and all the way through. It was a marvellous set of rail there. And there used to be a train run through there from Blackpool to South Shields, and it was a tank engine on it, a large tank engine. Used to pull a train from Blackpool to South Shields, and it would turn around on the South Shields turntable for to get back again. You know, it was going back to Blackpool and that, you know, whatever it was. Just it was a regular service. And that was me time at Newton Hall. I was only there 6 months. Fascinating job, you know. Yeah. And I had a couple of jobs, single line working jobs there, where you had engineering work was on, and you had to be piloting on a single line, you see, and they used to take possession of the line. And we had a pilotman had to run between 2 points, 2 signal boxes, you know, say Newton Hall and Durham, you see. And I had to bring these big globos through all the A1s and every passenger trains. Had to get on there and either send them through. If I had straight to go and want to come back, I had to send 2 through and go on the third one. It could be Flying Scotsman, all these trains, and Bittern and all them. I got on there and go on there, jump off at the other end and jump onto the train to come through again to guide that one through the single line from the other side. And it could be one of the Nigel Gresley, I remember that thing coming through, and Dominion of South Africa and all them trains. Of course, you used to get them, and it was generally at night. But if you were at Durham and you stopped at the signal at Durham to get on the train to tell the driver to take them through the single line, and the signal was just on the end of the Durham Viaduct, you see.
Oh, right.
But you know, when you climb on an engine and it seems to lie a bit towards you.
Yes.
And you have to climb up on the engine and pull yourself up, and you look back and you could see the rail of the viaduct, and beyond there's a huge drop. So if you slipped on there, you were way over the top. You'd hit the rail and away to hell over the top, you see. Yeah. So I didn't like that one very much, especially at night.
Right, John, I have a picture in front of me of South Gosford Station. You've got, the way I'm looking at it, you've got a siding on your left and an up and down line with a green, looks like a green EMU, like what you've been talking about, with a yellow panel on the front. So this station was one of the stations you worked at?
I worked there, South Gosford, and from there it was only a temporary job again, and I went right round the circular route. I was working at Tynemouth North, and then Jasmine Station, and also I think there was another one. Where was it? No, Benton. I was at Benton as well for temporary, and my permanent job was still Hart Station, you see.
Oh,
and
it must have been a nightmare travelling around. So tell us a bit more about your motorbike. Well, I'm interested about how you got around to all these different signal boxes.
Well, I had different motorbikes. Like I had an M20 BSA when I first started out as single, and then I got me 350 twin BSA. It was a new one that was good as to get most of my jobs on that. And I used that most of the time on the North Tyneside branch and North, you know. I worked all the way around this. And anyway, I mean, the last job I had on the North Tyneside line was Jesmond, you see. And then I got a temporary job at High Shields, another temporary job, you see. And my permanent job was still doing at Hart, you see. And that was one of all these temporary jobs. So I got the High Shields. And I was there a couple of years at High Shields, and but at South Shields there's a vacancy, or they took my night shift off at South Shields, and me and my mate filled in for a couple of hours from 1961 or 62 it was, at South Shields.
So you got a temporary job at High Shields. So I've got a picture up of High Shields, which I've never seen this before. You've sent me this one, and it's a fascinating
well, that was the signal box you can see, but that was closed at the time. But High Shields Yard used to stretch all the way down from there, right away down to where the Estrada was, you know, the South Shields, and of course there's a Halfords and there's a BM and whatnot there now, isn't there?
Yeah.
And there used to be a station there called it was Market Station, and it was the oldest station that was ever built. It used to run off the Signalman time, and it used to end up there. That was before South Shields Station, and it was still in existence when I was there. And it was later burned down. The council burned it down. And anyway, I worked there for a couple of years, and me and my mate had to go to South Shields because they took the night shift off, and we had to fill in then for a couple of hours each day, you know, to help the regular signalman there. And then after that, I got another. High Shields died. I lost that job. Somebody came back, and I got another temporary job at Jarrow. In all the time, I still couldn't get a permanent job. My permanent job was still on. So I had a temporary job at Jarrow.
You must have worked 24/7, did you?
What?
24 hours a day, did you? All these temporary jobs.
I knew that's all it was, temporary. And of course I had the bike, and of course I was living in Shields when I was when I was working on the North Tyneside line. But I married a girl from Sunderland. I was living at Sunderland when I got the job at High Shields, you see. And then I had to go back to Jarrow, and I got a temporary job at Jarrow. And lo and behold, about a year or two after that, I hung on to Jarrow. It was nearly 2 years. I got a permanent job at South Shields. It popped up because nobody wanted to start at 4:30 in the morning, you see. And of course, John got the job. Nobody else wanted. So I got into South Shields. And I was working, had to start at 4:30 in the morning. I was travelling from Sunderland on my bike. And I had to be there before 4:30, because it was the South Shields parcels, and used to deliver all the newspapers, I think, on the train then. And if I was late, the whole of South Shields got no parcels till I got there, you know. So they used to call me the Castletown Flyer, because I lived at Castletown, you know. Because I was flying to get there at 4:30 in the morning, does that one. But luckily, I managed to get there all the time, like, you know.
So, you were the Castletown Flyer. Right, John, well, I've just put a picture up of your new signal box at South Shields. And you just recently sent me this photograph, and I've never seen this photograph before.
It's a good one, isn't it?
It is a good one. So
Tony Lambert's photograph.
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful photograph. Nice sunny day, and everything's intact. All right, you've lost the fascia and a little bit of the roof, but yeah.
Oh, aye.
So, you were on about the newspapers. You had to get there quick.
Well, there used to be a steam parcels for 4:30 in the morning. You had to be there 4:30 to take on, and the steam parcel take about half an hour to get from Peel through to Shields. Well, I had to be there at 4:30 in the morning. Otherwise, and my mate Jimmy Moore happened to be on at Peel at the time, most of the time I got. And I had to be there, and had to open the cabin. That means you took the train on, and it had to come all the way through the branch to get into Shields, and all the post office workers were waiting there and whatnot, and the parcel people were waiting there. The train coming in, and if I was late, South Shields didn't get any parcels or newspapers till I got there, like, you know. So I had to make sure I got there, and I was almost flying there to get there 4:30 in the morning, sleeping, and belting along on my motorbike to get there. And Jimmy used to say, when I go open the cabin, he said, "Oh, here's the Castle Down flyer there." And say, yeah. And that was his joke to say for me. But I was there at South Shields. It was a good job, like, and I was there actually from I got a permanent job in 1964, but I'd worked there with the EMUs. I seen the end of the EMUs and that, you know, at South Shields, and they brought the diesels in. And I was there till 1967, 1968, I think it was, and when it closed down. But it was pretty. When I was there for the EMUs, we had to put the electric trains into this. We had to switch the lines on, you know, the rails on, and there was like a little cabinet with circuit breakers in, and you had to push them in, you say, with the heel of your hand. As long as it wasn't wet, you were lucky, like you didn't get a shock. And you saw it in there, and you had to put one in for the mead and the other one for the beer. You see, and then they brought the electric parcels in, and he used to shunt them into there and do his job in there. So he got two parcels. He got the steam parcel in the morning, electric parcels, and then when we left, when they're doing away with the EMUs, they just used to have the steam parcels, you see, and the electric parcels, of course, couldn't come. There's no other train. So, and the only other thing that happened, except that the Sunderland train, we had Sunderland trains 1965, and they had the diesel service to Newcastle, and in 1965, Beecham decided to do away with a lot of lines, and he done away with the Sunderland service, and I run the last train out of South Shields on 11:30 one night in 1965, and it just went away, and there wasn't a soul on it. 11:30 at night.
Oh, and what a shame.
After that, it was just general traffic. Nothing much happened until we got the Royal Train for South Shields, which was a surprise.
Yeah.
But it was funny. Well, they just had a new tunnel built called the Jarrah Tunnel, you know. It was the motor tunnel used to go through, and the train come through on the train from where she was, from Newcastle, and she come into Jarrow, got off at Jarrow, and the empty train had to come to South Shields for to run round. So I run them into the up platform, and of course it made a bit of a stir. Everybody's looking at parcel, and everybody's coming to look at the train. And I run the engine off towards the turntable, and I can't remember what sort of engine it was. It must have been a tank engine. It must have been to get on the turntable. But it was a green engine, might have been a restored tank, you know. And then he run round and come back onto his train again, and of course the train went away and she collected the Queen of Jarrow again, went on to Stockton. And after that there wasn't much happened, and they just closed the station down, and I lost my job, and I was redundant again. So I was looking for another job, and the only job I could get was horse attendant at 4th Yard. I said, well, I'm not taking that. So I was going to get on the buses. I was going to try and get a job on the Shields buses. That's what I got, the Sunderland buses. And my mate again, Jimmy Moore, a good mate, head peeler, he says, he's a union man. He says, I'll get you a job. And he got another temporary job at Durham South. I was at Durham South. I came back at Durham again, but there was no steamers then, you know. There were all Deltics running then, you know.
Yeah.
But I did see the Flying Scot come through because there was like a centenary run from London all the way to Edinburgh, and I seen that one both ways. I was happened to be there both ways, and it came through. Yeah. You know.
I've got. You sent me a picture of the Flying Scotsman. Just let me get it up on the screen. Here it is. It's a Tyne Dock.
That was a special. I wasn't there in that area then. That was at 1970. I'd be at Washington then. Like I worked at Washington and all. Anyway, I seen him come back as well. He come back late. He come back at Durham as well, and he come back. I think it was empty. He come back anyway, but I remember him coming back. But he hadn't got to stop that train, you know. And there was, I nearly stopped him because something happened to the signal. There was 2 signal boxes, Durham South and Durham North, you see. And the bloke there, he couldn't, something wrong with the signal. I says, oh well, I says, luckily I got him away at time, and he got the signal put right, and it was, because there's people standing by, you know, they were looking after me, made sure they didn't stop the train. I don't know if you've heard of that special, you're doing all the way, see, it was a centenary of the first run of the Flying Scotsman, something right through to Edinburgh or something, and they put it on again in about 1968, I think it was.
Yeah, judging by the cars, the cars, it got an old Vauxhall Corsair or something there, really old car and a Morris van, I think. So it could have been in the 60s.
It would be there were 60s cars. That's a Cortina, that you see there.
That's a Cortina. That's
right, a Cortina. I had one of them. I eventually afforded a car. I had an old Cortina. I battered on at the finish like I used to use. Anywhere there, I didn't make much money. Really.
So you got rid of the bike for a Cortina.
Well, I still kept my motorbikes. Oh no, I had an old butter because I had a family, you see, and I had to have a car for the family. So I still had my motorbikes. I kept my motorbikes from when I was 14 years old till I just sold the one about 2 years ago. and I was an Italian born, so I've heard I said it finished late. But I had motorbikes all my life, and I had cars till about 8 years ago. I packed in driving, like I didn't like driving cars on these roads now, but I was alright with a motorbike for them all. So that was so we're up down now. We're into the end of South Shields, aren't we?
Yeah, you've just been made redundant, and your mate.
I went to that's right, Durham South, and I was that's right, it was Durham South, and I had the that job that job closed. In 1969. But I said it was a good job, but the Delta used to run there, you know, through there. They're lovely trains there, and them Delta engines, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, in 1969, I got a permanent job. I don't know how I got it, because
You sure it's a permanent job this time?
I'll tell you what happened. I've run past myself there. When I was at South Shields, it was a job nobody else wanted. And I used to start at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
But they used to take marks of signal boxes for upgrading at one time, you know.
All right, yeah.
And then, for some reason, they backdated the marks for the signal boxes in the area. Now, South Shields is a class 1, you see. So they updated the special class from 1932 marks. Ridiculous. I'll send you a note that shows you the station master sending this note where it'll be upgrading. And me wage went up to about 116 shillings. See? A week. It's on the note. I'll send you the note eventually. So everybody was going mad there because me, who had made nothing, and as a junior man, had been upgraded to a special class, and half the lads were seeing it to me. I was higher than them, you see, because I upgraded. But I only got the job that nobody else wanted for the 4:30 start. And that's how I got Durham South. That was it. I got Durham South on a temporary special class. It was a special job as well, you see. Now, when they eventually closed Durham South, there was a clock in there. It used to gauge the trains over the viaduct for speed. It was like an ordinary clock. And
all right, it's like a speedometer. All right.
And it's in the York Museum now. Oh. Well, the station master come along and says, whatever you do, he says, don't let the S&T, that's the signal, to get that clock, he says, the claim it's theirs, he says, it's ours, and it's got to go in the York Museum. So that the fella come up like, inspector, he said, I'm taking the clock. I says, yeah, no, it's mine. He says, no, it's mine. I says, well, I'll fight you for it. He says, no, I says, you can have it. So anyway, I was really kidding him, like. And anyway, I gave the clock to the station master, and it's actually in the York Museum now.
Oh,
I've seen it, I've been and seen it, you know.
Oh, wow.
And I pulled this in Durham South. I pulled the board off the side for the museum as well. And anyway, and after that, I'd actually got a permanent job at Tyne Yard Power Box. You ever heard of that? Big Marshall Yard called Tyne Yard.
No.
There's a big power box. Now I can send you photographs. I've got photographs of that. It's a big power box. And there was a part where they had these run the wagons back, and there was like retarders. They used to retard the wagons, for shunting the wagons on it, you know.
Divide them into lanes, if it were into lines.
That was it. That. Of course, we controlled the main line right from Gateshead to Ferry Hill. You see. And I was actually a relief man at Tyne Yard, and I worked Tyne Yard and Ferry Hill. I used to go to Ferry Hill, Tyne Yard. And sometimes Darlington, I got into there. I learned Darlington, I never worked it. And I was working Percy Main, North, and I was round Heaton, all the way around. There were signal boxes that were left. I'd done the whole lot, you know. And I worked on that from 1976 until, I got onto the main computer box at the thing called the Tyneside IEC, a big computer place. But there again, I've overshot myself again, because when I left, when the box closed at Durham South, I had to go to Washington. That was it. I was at Washington, and I was redundant special class. And I was put on the Washington Relief on the Leam side. That was it. I overshot myself there. And I worked at, I ever heard of Wardley? Washington Station, Washington Chemical Works, all the way around there, you know.
All right, yeah.
And it was after that I was being redundant again, because it actually closed some of the boxes on there. And I got the job at Tyne Yard after that. That was it. I always shot myself. I went that many different places. I used to work up the Concert branch as well, South Peel, right away up the Concert Steelworks, all the way around. When I was on the Washington line, and I'd done all around there, and Ferry Hill, everything. And Penshaw, you ever heard of Penshaw North?
Yeah, I've heard of I've heard of Penshaw Monument.
Well, it's Penshaw North. There used to be a big station, Penshaw Station and Cox Green Station. I used to work all that. Temporary jobs all over the place. I did. I'm not kidding you. There's that much. I forgot half the places I was at, to tell you the truth.
John, it's just been brilliant, Joe, listening to you and all these stories, all the different places that you've been, and I've enjoyed the interview. I've enjoyed talking to you. And would you like to come back again?
Well, I haven't. As I say, if I had a script in front of it, if I had marked all the places in line where I'd been, I would have shot myself so much. But because there's that many signal boxes I worked in, up the Concert branch especially, up there, they used to. That was it. I was at Pontop Crossing as well. You ever heard of that?
No,
Pontop Crossing. The yard trains used to come from Tyne Yard, from Tyne Dog Bottom. You know the big 9Fs? You've seen them big 9Fs?
Yes, in the big 9F with the iron ore trains.
From Tyne Dock Shed, and they used to come from there, and they jumped past Bank Top Signal Box, and the next signal box was Green Lane, big power box with little levers in it. That was in there as well. I learned it anyway. I didn't work it. And the next box was called Pontop Crossing, and it used the concert line used to run across there. And the coastline used to run an X, just like an X, run across each other. And it used to run up there all the way to Concert. And there's that many. It used to go up there. And I worked up there as well. And I worked the Chemical Works at Washington and Washington Station. That was another signal box I worked in when all the war trains used to come past there. And they had the Leam side coming past as well.
Yeah.
There's that many places,
Sure, fascinating. John, I think we're going to have to leave it there, and we'll have to talk again, mate. It's just hopefully we'll get our heads together and we'll get better organised and.
Well, I got organised where I was,
Yeah. All right. Thanks again for the interview. And
you're welcome, John.
And
you're welcome.
And we'll talk more. But okay.
Right, Tony. Thank you very much, and you've been great. Thank you very much.